First contact catastrophe. The U.S. Thunderchill drifted silently through the void, its massive hull gleaming under the distant starlight of the Arcturus system. The ship represented humanity's most advanced deep space vessel, a perfect blend of power, technology, and human ingenuity. Captain Sarah Reese stood motionless on the bridge, her athletic frame casting a long shadow across the command deck as holographic displays bathed the room in cool blue light. "Status report, Commander Chen," she requested, her voice steady despite the tension building in her chest. Commander David Chen, first officer of the Thunderchild, glanced up from his station. His dark eyes reflected the glow of the tactical displays as his fingers danced across the interface. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're maintaining position at the edge of the Arcturus debris field. No sign of activity from the anomaly yet." Reese nodded, her gaze fixed on the main view screen where a strange spatial distortion hung against the backdrop of stars. The anomaly had appeared 3 weeks ago, defying all known laws of physics and prompting the United Earth Alliance to dispatch their flagship to investigate. "Dr. Novak, any changes in your readings?" Reese asked, addressing the ship's chief scientist. Dr. Elena Novak looked up from her station, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun. "Energy signatures are increasing, Captain. Whatever it is, it's becoming more active. I've never seen patterns like these before. It's not natural." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had encountered alien life before, primitive microorganisms on Mars, basic aquatic creatures beneath Europa's ice, even the mysterious silicon-based entities of Proxima Centauri, but nothing sentient, nothing technologically advanced. Until now. "Captain," Lieutenant Imani Williams called from communications, her voice tight with controlled excitement. "I'm detecting a signal emanating from the anomaly. It appears to be a language pattern." Reese straightened. "Can you translate it?" "Working on it," Williams replied, her fingers flying across her console. "The AI is analyzing the pattern now. It's complex but structured. Definitely artificial." Chief Engineer Takashi Yamamoto's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, power fluctuations throughout the ship. Something's interfering with our systems." Before Reese could respond, the anomaly on the view screen pulsed, expanding rapidly. A blinding flash of light filled the bridge, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. When the glare subsided, Reese lowered her arm to see a massive vessel emerging from what now appeared to be some form of spatial gateway. "Red alert," she ordered, her training taking over. "All hands to battle stations." The ship that materialized was unlike anything human eyes had ever witnessed. It resembled an immense crystalline structure, not built but grown, its surface catching and refracting light in hypnotic patterns. The vessel dwarfed the Thunderchild, extending at least 3 kilometers from bow to stern. "It's beautiful," breathed Navigation Officer Park. "And powerful," added Tactical Officer Rodriguez. "Captain, I'm detecting energy readings off the charts. Their power generation capabilities exceed ours by at least an order of magnitude." Reese's mind raced through protocol. First contact scenario. Unknown capabilities. Potentially hostile. "Open all frequencies, Lieutenant Williams. Let's try to communicate." "Channel open, Captain." Reese stepped forward. "This is Captain Sarah Reese of the United Earth Alliance vessel Thunderchild. We come in peace as representatives of humanity. We welcome peaceful contact with your civilization." The bridge crew waited, seconds stretching into minutes. Finally, the main view screen flickered, revealing a being unlike anything they had anticipated. It appeared almost translucent, with an internal structure reminiscent of crystalline formations. Multiple limbs moved with fluid grace, and what seemed to be eyes, dozens of them, blinked in unison across its form. "We are the Velari Collective," the being spoke, its voice resonating through the ship's speakers with an unusual harmonic quality. "Your presence has been noted. Your species is unknown to us." Reese maintained her composure. "We are humans, from the planet Earth in the Sol system. We are explorers. seeking knowledge and peaceful relations with other intelligent life. The Velari being seemed to ripple, its form shifting slightly. Explorers. Yes, we too explore. We seek resources, knowledge, perfection. Something in the tone sent a chill down Reese's spine, but she pressed on. We would be honored to exchange knowledge and establish diplomatic relations with your people. Knowledge exchange. Acceptable. The being's eyes blinked in sequence. We will begin the extraction process. Before anyone could react, the Thunderchild shuddered violently. Warning alarms blared across the bridge as systems began failing throughout the ship. What's happening? Reese demanded, gripping her command chair as the deck trembled beneath her feet. They're scanning us, Novak shouted over the chaos. But it's like nothing I have ever seen. They're not just reading our databases. They're forcibly downloading everything. Ship schematics, crew files, Earth's location and defenses. Everything. Reese turned back to the screen. Velari representatives, please cease this intrusion immediately. This is not how peaceful exchange. Your assessment of peaceful is irrelevant, the being interrupted. Your technology is primitive, but contains useful elements. Your biological composition is of particular interest. We have not encountered carbon-based intelligence capable of achieving space travel. The implication was clear. They weren't being greeted. They were being studied. Catalogue. Cut the connection, Reese ordered. Shields up. Arm all weapons systems. Rodriguez worked his console frantically. Weapons online. But Captain, their whole composition is unlike anything we've encountered. I'm not sure our conventional weapons will be effective. Chen looked up from his station. Captain, more vessels emerging from the anomaly. 3. No, 5 additional ships. On the view screen, the spatial gateway pulsed again as more crystalline vessels appeared, arranging themselves in a formation that effectively surrounded the Thunderchild. We're being boxed in, Rodriguez reported grimly. Reese's mind raced through options. The Thunderchild was humanity's most advanced warship, but they were clearly outmatched in both technology and numbers. Fighting would be suicide. Running might be impossible. Lieutenant Williams, broadcast on all frequencies, Reese ordered. Velari Collective, we meant no intrusion into your territory. We will withdraw immediately and report to our government that this region of space is claimed. The largest Velari ship pulsed with light, and the alien appeared on screen again. Withdrawal denied. Your species represents an anomaly in our classifications. Your biological and technological systems will be harvested for study. Resistance will only damage the specimens. With that chilling declaration, beams of energy lanced out from 2 of the Velari vessels, striking the Thunderchild's shields with unprecedented force. Shields at 60%. Rodriguez called out. Whatever that was, it cut through our defenses like they were nothing. Another blast rocked the ship. Shields at 42%. Reese gripped the arms of her command chair. Return fire. All batteries. The Thunderchild's rail guns, lasers, and missile systems all engaged simultaneously, targeting the nearest Velari vessel. The weapons struck their target, but the crystalline hull merely absorbed the energy, glowing brighter with each impact. No effect, Captain, Rodriguez reported, desperation edging into his voice. They're absorbing our weapon energy somehow. Another blast hit them, more powerful than before. Shields critical. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 9. Emergency containment fields holding, but barely. Commander Chen moved to Reese's side. Captain, we can't win this fight conventionally. Reese nodded grimly. No, we can't. She activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for emergency protocol Omega. This is not a drill. She turned to Dr. Novak. Doctor, what have you learned about their composition? Novak's fingers flew across her console. They're silicon-based life forms, but far more advanced than anything we've encountered. Their ships appear to be extensions of themselves. Grown, not built. They operate on crystalline neural networks and draw power from what appears to be artificial quantum singularities. Weaknesses: their crystal structures are incredibly ordered, perfect lattices. That's likely how they process information and channel energy so efficiently. Reese's eyes narrowed. And what happens to perfect crystalline structures when exposed to specific resonant frequencies? A flicker of understanding crossed Novik's face. They shatter. Exactly. Reese turned to Chen. Commander, evacuate all non-essential personnel to the central core and prepare the emergency escape pods. Lieutenant Williams, send a tight beam transmission back to Earth with everything we've learned about the Velari. And us, Captain? Rodriguez asked. Reese's expression hardened as another blast rocked the ship. We're going to show these Velari that humanity doesn't go quietly into the night. Chief Engineer Yamamoto's voice came over the intercom. Captain, I've got an idea, but it's crazy. If these aliens are crystalline in nature, and their ships are grown from the same material. I'm listening, Chief. We could modify our quantum resonance chamber to emit a disruptive frequency. It would be like hitting a crystal glass with just the right note to shatter it. But on a ship-wide scale. Time required: 15 minutes minimum, and we'd need to be closer, inside their formation. Reese glanced at the tactical display. The 6 Velari ships had them surrounded, methodically weakening their defenses with each precision strike. We don't have 15 minutes at this rate, Chen pointed out. Then we'll make time, Reese replied. Rodriguez, divert all remaining power to the forward shields. Helm, set course directly for the largest vessel. Full impulse. Park turned in his seat. Captain, you want to ram them. Not ram, distract. They want to study us. Let's give them something to study. She activated the ship-wide comm again. All hands, braced for impact maneuvers. Engineering teams, begin modifications to the quantum resonance chamber immediately. This is our only shot. The Thunderchild surged forward, its engines firing at maximum capacity as it hurtled toward the lead Velari vessel. The alien ships, perhaps surprised by the seemingly suicidal maneuver, adjusted their formation too late. They're targeting our engines, Rodriguez reported as energy beams lanced out from the Velari ships. Evasive pattern Delta, Reese ordered. Keep them guessing. The massive human warship weaved through the deadly energy beams, taking hits but continuing its charge. On the main view screen, the crystalline structure of the lead Velari vessel grew larger by the second. Impact in 30 seconds, Park called out. Reese gripped her chair. Prepare to execute emergency stop on my mark. Rodriguez, arm forward batteries for point-blank firing. The Thunderchild hurtled toward the Velari flagship, its shields flickering under constant assault. 10 seconds before impact, Reese gave the order. Now. The ship's engines reversed thrust violently, inertial dampeners straining as the massive vessel decelerated mere kilometers from the Velari ship. Simultaneously, every forward weapon fired, not at the alien vessel itself, but at the space between them. The resulting explosion created a blinding electromagnetic pulse that temporarily disrupted the Velari's energy weapons. We have our window, Reese declared. Chief Yamamoto, status on the resonance chamber. 10 more minutes, Captain. The circuits are overloading. We're pushing them beyond safety parameters. Another blast rocked the ship, more powerful than before. Hull breach, Deck 12. Chen reported. We're losing atmosphere in sections. Reese looked around at her crew, humans pushed to their limit, facing an enemy with vastly superior technology. But in that moment, she saw not defeat but determination in their eyes. This was humanity at its core, backed into a corner but refusing to surrender. We don't have 10 minutes, she said quietly, then raised her voice. We have now. Because humanity doesn't end here, not like this. Lieutenant Williams, broadcast on all frequencies, let's show the Velari what humans do when faced with impossible odds. As the Velari ships closed in around them like predators circling wounded prey, Captain Reese stood tall on her bridge, already formulating the desperate plan that would either save her ship and possibly Earth itself, or ensure that humanity's first encounter with advanced alien life would be remembered as its most spectacular last stand. Humanity unleashed. Alarms blared throughout the U.S. Thunderchild as the ship's systems failed one by one. The crystalline Velari vessels had them surrounded, their energy weapons systematically dismantling the human warship's defenses. Shields down to 12%, Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with tension. One more direct hit and they're gone. In the engineering section, Chief Yamamoto's team worked frantically to modify the quantum resonance chamber, rerouting power and reprogramming systems never designed for the task they now faced. "We need more time," Yamamoto's voice crackled over the comm. "The modifications are only at 60% completion." Captain Reese gripped the arms of her command chair, mind racing. Conventional tactics had failed. Technology alone wouldn't save them. It was time for humanity's oldest advantage, unpredictability. "Dr. Novak," she called across the chaos of the bridge. "You said their crystal structures are perfectly ordered, correct?" Novak nodded, brushing debris from her console after the last impact. "Yes, perfect lattices, symmetrical in multiple dimensions. And symmetry requires balance," Reese continued, the beginnings of a plan forming. "Commander Chen, what's the status of our remaining armed shuttles?" Chen checked his display. 4 operational in Bay 2, Captain." "Perfect." Reese stood, addressing her bridge crew. "The Velari's strength is their perfect order. Their weakness is the same. They expect symmetry, logic, predictability. So we'll give them the opposite." She activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for Operation Chaos." For the next 3 minutes, Reese outlined her desperate plan. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't by the book. It was pure human improvisation. "This is insane," Rodriguez muttered when she finished. "Precisely," Reese replied with grim determination. "That's why it might work." The Velari ships were closing in, their formation tightening like a noose around the Thunderchild. On the main view screen, the alien commander appeared again. "Your resistance is irrational," the crystalline being stated. "You cannot escape. You cannot damage our vessels. Surrender your ship and crew for processing." Reese faced the screen, her expression resolute. "We have another proposal. A demonstration of human capability. The gift of knowledge." The multiple eyes of the Velari being blinked in sequence, a gesture they'd come to recognize as consideration. "Explain." "Allow me to transmit a data packet, a sample of human culture and technology. Consider it a preview of what you'll learn through cooperation rather than force." The Velari commander seemed to shimmer slightly. "Transmit your data. We will evaluate." Reese nodded to Williams, who pressed a sequence of commands on her console. "Transmitting now." What the Thunderchild actually sent was a complex computer virus disguised as a cultural database, designed by the ship's AI specialist to exploit what they'd observed of Velari communication patterns. Not to destroy, but to distract. "Transmission complete," Williams confirmed. The effect was immediate. The Velari commander's form destabilized briefly on the screen, its symmetry disrupted as the alien systems processed the unexpected data structure. "Now, Commander Chen," Reese ordered. Chen activated the ship's emergency systems. Simultaneously, 4 events occurred. First, the Thunderchild's remaining shuttles launched from Bay 2, each programmed with erratic flight patterns designed to confuse Velari targeting systems. Second, the ship ejected its emergency plasma reserves in a controlled explosion that pushed the Thunderchild into a rapid spin, creating an electromagnetic disruption field. Third, the ship's communication array began broadcasting on all frequencies at once, a cacophony of signals, music, languages, and mathematical sequences without pattern or meaning. Fourth, and most crucial, the ship fired its remaining missiles. not at the Velari vessels, but at the nearby debris field, creating a chaotic cloud of high-velocity fragments. The result was pure, calculated chaos. The Velari ships, built for order and perfect coordination, struggled to prioritize these multiple unconventional threats. Their formation broke as individual vessels tracked different targets. "It's working," Chen exclaimed, watching the tactical display. "They're splitting up." Reese nodded grimly. "Yamamoto, status on the resonance chamber." "3 more minutes, Captain," came the strained reply. "Whatever you're doing up there, keep doing it." But the advantage was temporary. Already, the Velari were adapting, their ships beginning to re-establish formation. "They're fast learners," Rodriguez observed tensely. Incoming fire from 2 vessels. The Thunderchild shuddered as energy beams struck the hull directly. Shields now completely failed. "Hull breaches on multiple decks," Chen reported. "Emergency containment failing in sections 12 through 17. Reese made a split-second decision. Initiate emergency saucer separation. Now. It was a last-resort maneuver the ship was capable of, but had never performed outside simulations. The Thunderchild's primary hull, the saucer section containing the bridge and most civilian areas, could detach from the engineering hull containing the main engines and weapon systems. Explosive bolts fired in sequence, and the Thunderchild literally split in 2. The saucer section drifted away, appearing damaged and powerless. A decoy. Meanwhile, the engineering section, still under partial control and containing Yamamoto's team working on the resonance chamber, powered down to minimal signature. On the Velari view screen, the alien commander's form rippled with what might have been confusion. "Explain this division. Is this a surrender?" Reese, now on the partially powered bridge of the saucer section, allowed herself a small smile. "No, this is a human magic trick. We call it misdirection." At that moment, the engineering section of the Thunderchild, which had drifted unnoted amid the debris cloud, suddenly powered up its emergency thrusters. With a burst of speed, it drove straight toward the gap between 2 Velari vessels before they could react. "Yamamoto to bridge." The engineer's voice came through, distorted by interference. "Resonance chamber modifications complete. Activating now." The engineering section of the Thunderchild began to emit an invisible but powerful quantum resonance wave. As it passed between the 2 Velari ships, the effect was immediately visible. The perfect crystalline structures of the alien vessels began to vibrate, their surfaces developing tiny fractures that spread like spider webs. "It's working," Novik exclaimed, watching the sensor readings. "The resonance is disrupting their molecular bonds." The Velari commander's image on the view screen destabilized, its form breaking apart and reforming. "What is this? Weapon?" "Not a weapon," Reese replied calmly. "Just physics. Every crystal has a breaking point, a frequency that disrupts its perfect structure. You evolved for order. We evolved to create disorder." The resonance wave expanded outward from the engineering section, affecting all 6 Velari vessels to varying degrees. The 2 closest began to break apart, their beautiful crystalline structures shattering like glass. The others retreated, their surfaces cracking but holding. "The nearest Velari ships are disintegrating," Chen reported, his voice betraying his disbelief that their desperate plan was working. The Velari commander's image stabilized momentarily. "Cease this attack. We will withdraw. First, release control of our systems," Reese demanded, "and acknowledge formally that Earth space is off-limits to the Velari collective." A moment of silence followed as the remaining Velari ships continued to retreat from the expanding resonance field. "Agreed," the commander finally responded. "Your species is unlike others, unpredictable, dangerous. Only when threatened," Reese countered. "Remember that." The Velari ships accelerated away, their damaged structures glittering in the starlight as they retreated toward the spatial anomaly that had brought them. Before entering, the lead vessel transmitted one final message. We will remember the humans. We will study from afar. We will adapt. With that, they were gone, the anomaly collapsing behind them. In the aftermath, the crew of the Thunderchild worked tirelessly to reintegrate the separated sections of their ship and make emergency repairs. The vessel was badly damaged, but the majority of the crew had survived. 3 days later, Captain Reese stood in the ship's observation lounge, watching the stars as the patched-together Thunderchild limped back toward Earth at reduced speed. Commander Chen joined her, offering a cup of coffee. Engineering reports will have warp capability restored within 48 hours, he informed her. Not bad for a ship that was literally broken in half. Reese nodded, accepting the coffee. I've been reviewing Dr. Novak's final analysis of the Velari. Technologically, they're centuries ahead of us. By all rational measures, we should have been defeated. Rational being the key word, Chen replied. They didn't account for human irrationality. No, they didn't. Reese turned to face her first officer. The Velari represent perfect order, perfect logic. They expect the universe to follow patterns they understand. But humans thrive in chaos. Chen finished for her. We improvise. We break rules. We try the impossible because we don't know it's impossible. And that might be our greatest strength out here. Reese gestured toward the vastness of space visible through the viewport. The Velari won't be the last advanced species we encounter. Some will be friendly, others hostile. But all of them will need to learn what the Velari learned today. Which is? Reese smiled slightly. That humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology. It's our unpredictability, our creativity under pressure, our stubborn refusal to accept defeat even when logic dictates we should. Chen raised his coffee cup in a toast. To human unpredictability, then. Reese clinked her cup against his, and to the Velari, who just gave humanity its introduction to the wider galactic community. I have a feeling the universe won't be the same now that humans have entered the game. As the Thunderchild continued its journey home, carrying news of humanity's first encounter with advanced alien life, Captain Sarah Reese knew that this was only the beginning. The United Earth Alliance would strengthen defenses, build more ships, prepare for possible return of the Velari or encounters with other species. But she also knew something else, something the Velari had learned at great cost. When pushed to the brink, when faced with impossible odds, humanity didn't break. Instead, humans found new ways to fight, new paths to victory, drawing on a wellspring of innovation and determination that had carried their species from cave-dwelling primates to star travelers. The Velari Collective had entered the battle believing their superior technology guaranteed victory. They left understanding that in the grand equation of galactic conflict, the human variable was the most unpredictable and perhaps the most dangerous of all. When the Thunderchild finally reached Earth orbit 2 weeks later, it carried not just battle scars, but a message for humanity and the galaxy beyond. Underestimate humans at your peril. For though they might be outgunned, outmatched, or outnumbered, they would never be outfought. The humans had entered the galactic stage, and the rules of engagement would never be the same again.